This is Andrew Paul Cronin, and you're listening to the Q&A with A.P.C., the show that features conversations with artists, cultural figures, policymakers, performers, and other innovators living in Virginia. Episode 16, Drew Ungvarsky. My guest, Drew Ungvarsky, is the founder, CEO, and executive creative director of Grow Interactive, a digital agency that creates websites and other types of digital advertising for some of the most popular brands on the planet, including Google, HBO, FedEx, Toyota, Doritos, and Coca-Cola, to name a few. The agency has been awarded some of its industry's most prestigious awards, including 4 Webby Awards, 29 Favorite Website Awards, 11 Cannes Lion Awards, and, in 2012, a Cannes Lion Grand Prix Award. In this episode, Drew discusses building video games on calculators in high school, the origin of his company and its name, We Play Rapid Fire, and much, much more. This episode of the Q&A with A.P.C. was recorded on the 3rd floor at Grow Interactive in Norfolk, Virginia. How do you pronounce your last name?
Ungvarsky.
So what's the origin with that, like the country of origin?
Yeah, it's Slovak. My great-grandparents immigrated here from there.
Is that something you're interested in? Like, do you talk about, is that something that's like on the family conversation at all?
I mean, we can. I hate to say I don't know a lot about it. There's not a lot of like great lineage stories that have been passed down the line.
Your dad is a retired Navy captain?
He is,
Do I have that rank right?
He was, yeah.
Yeah.
31 years in the military.
What's his personality like?
Well, he's a little different now. He had a stroke, major stroke, like a couple years ago. So it's been interesting to sort of watch him evolve like that. But he's a born leader. I think that's probably where I've sort of started to get some of those skills from. I'm still trying to find them in myself, but yeah, I mean his title in the military was commander, and I would say that about him outside of work as well.
Was he imposing kind of growing up? Like not necessarily like in a heavy-handed way, but
yeah,
like...
I mean he was a military father. You know, he was gone every once a year, or 6 months, at a time for deployments and stuff. So, and he was I think a fairly classic military father.
And your mom is an art teacher?
She is, yeah. She
Williams
teaches
School?
at the Williams School in Norfolk.
Yeah. Is that it's private, sort of smaller?
School. Yeah, it's like it's straight out of Annie. I mean, like, or maybe Annie's not the right reference, but it's like they've got a school dog, and all the kids play on this playground all day.
It's like a Montessori kind of thing.
It's just super small.
Yeah.
It's like there's probably 20 kids in every grade or something like that.
So what's her personality like?
Really creative. She's just like, both of my parents are community minded. They think about other people before they think about themselves. I think she's just a good and nice person. Before I was around in Norfolk, most people who heard the name Ungvarsky knew my mom, and they'd be like, oh, you must be related to Lynn, at the Williams School. And so now my name precedes her every now and then.
So would you say you get some of the drive and sort of the leadership aspects from dad and the art from mom? I mean, is it that easy to say?
I think it's that easy to look back on. I never thought of it that way, but I think if that's sort of what defines a lot of my personality these days, or at the very least what I do on a day-to-day basis, those are the 2 skills that I need most, and I would look at my father and mother and classify them like that.
Do you guys ever talk about that?
I brought it up to them, yeah. I think they see it a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Not a lot, though?
No, I mean, yeah, they weren't like trying to, like my dad was, I'll raise him to be the leader, and my mom was dragging me in the other direction. No, it was just more sort of being around that a lot.
Yeah. What was high school like for you? You're a public high school
Yeah, public
kid.
high school. Yeah, Kellum High School in Virginia Beach.
Represent. What's
Not
their mascot?
the Knights.
Okay.
Yeah, go Knights.
Like shining armor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not terribly notable, you know. I mean, I was a geek in high school.
What does that
Still
mean?
am. I mean, I programmed calculators in high school, so
Like Texas Instruments.
yeah. So back in the day, I just sort of discovered the internet and like BBS systems, and just the like World Wide Web was just starting to emerge.
What
and
year are we talking roundabout?
what would this be? Like 96, 95. I don't know if somebody's going to correct me on like the emergence of the internet there, but certainly my emergence into the world of the internet was then. And I found this like community of people who was, you know, everybody coded on TI-83s, like writing like Hello World or, you know, Drug Lords or one of those games
Right.
or something. But I found this community of people who were like coding on their computers in assembly language, which is like one level up from ones and zeros. All languages sort of compile down through assembly language to machine language. And people were compiling these programs on their computers to make things that the calculators weren't meant to do with just like letters and numbers. So they were making Mario, for example, and then compiling that and sending that to calculators. So I learned to do that and built Duck Hunt on my TI-83
And that you found that community via a computer at your house, like online?
Yeah.
Was it like a forum, or was it just like one person in Idaho who was kind of shoving out all the knowledge?
it was like just a couple of random people around the world. I mean, one guy was in India. I don't remember where everyone else was from, but it's just this random collection of people. Yeah. And then my first website I ever made was, I can say this because I don't think you could look it up and find it, but it was the TI-83 headquarters. And
Sick.
it was a GeoCities website.
Right.
You know, it was like hosting my own programs I was writing and some of my friends' games that they were making.
What computer were you using back then?
It probably would have been a Tandy 1000.
Ooh, listen to that.
Yeah.
What did you like about computer programming and web development as a kid? Because that's not.
Yeah, I mean, I liked video games as I got exposed to that, and then when I found like I could make those things happen, my first exposure I remember to programming was the little turtle game. Do you remember that? It was like you told the thing like go forward 20 and then rotate 20 degrees, and you could draw things with this like little turtle. So it was fascinating to me that you could like make things happen by writing lines of code, and kind of got exposed to it that way.
Controlling it and seeing like the innards of it, and then seeing the finished.
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
thing.
It was like I've got a pretty logical brain. Strangely, for being I'm now a creative director and sort of in charge of the creative direction of this company. But like my brain is definitely mathematical and logic minded.
You studied computer science at Old Dominion.
Yeah.
Did you apply to other places?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I applied to Virginia Tech, and applied to MIT, actually. So I didn't get into MIT, I don't think. And I got into tech, but ODU gave me a full ride, so I decided to go there.
For computers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was I can't remember the name of the scholarship, but it's like a governor's scholarship or something, just sort of a general academic scholarship.
And you were taking classes at Old Dominion, and you built a website, I guess not really a fake website, but kind of a fake website for Drew Media, which was
Yeah.
like the origin of Grow.
Yeah, so I found this thing called Flash on the internet, and it was like, again, like you could write things and then make visual things appear. It was the closest I could come to making video games. I didn't really understand how to make video games. In school, they were teaching you C++, and that was like a far cry away from like visual things, you know. I remember one of what they called like the hardest projects in computer science was like read in these soccer scores and print out the results. And I just found that so boring. And then I discovered this thing called Flash, which is like you sort of take visual elements and you can kind of map them out on the screen, and then you can tell them to do things programmatically and react to things that users are doing. And literally, you know, the first website I made in Flash was a website that said I could make websites for you in Flash, and I called it Drew Media Studios.
And was that part of a project, or was that just for
It was
fun?
just on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny, I had never a day in my life been called Drew before I called it Drew Media Studios. I have no idea to this day why I called it Drew. I think it rang better than like anything I could come up with Andrew. So And then from that point forward, everyone started calling me Drew.
And I was never a Drew or an Andy.
Yeah, me neither.
Right.
Not until that moment. And then it's not like I had this like lifelong dream of being a Drew. What
is it? Sorry to interrupt. What does Amber, your wife, call you?
She calls me Andrew. Yeah.
She does?
Yeah.
And mom and dad?
Andrew. Okay. Yeah. So like there's maybe 8 people in this world who call me Andrew right now, and everyone else Drew.
And is the Flash that is always need updating so I can watch HBO Go? Is that the same Flash?
That's the one. So it evolved. I mean, it's like, and it's on its way out now, or it's pretty much out.
That's good,
Apple,
right?
Apple killed it.
Okay.
It served a great purpose. Like everything you know about modern web experiences happened because of Flash. There's a lot of politics as to why it disappeared, but like
Adobe bought it?
Adobe bought it. It used to be by a company called Macromedia, and now it's Adobe Flash. And they were, sort of the last versions were like 11 or something like that. I mean, and I was starting at 3. So it was very early days when I made this site. I mean, Macromedia had a website at the time that was like, here's all of the people who could make a Macromedia Flash website for you. And I just listed myself there, and it was like me and 100 other people.
That's awesome. Yeah. You made a band website for the band Lucky 7, which I'm not familiar with. And
you shouldn't be, yeah.
You were paid in T-shirts. Do I have that right?
Yeah, 2 T-shirts and a CD. I mean, so I found this band that I liked on mp3.com, dating myself a lot here. They were at the top of like the pop punk charts.
Okay.
And I reached out to them and said, hey, can I make a website for you guys? I just learned this thing called Flash. I just made this drewmedia.com site. And the guy emailed me back in like 2 minutes. And he's like, yeah, I'd love for you to do something for us. And so made this site for them, hard negotiation with my 2 T-shirts and a CD. And the day it launched, their promotion company called me. It was this company out of Long Beach. And they said, hey, like we're representing all these bands. And some of them like if you're watching TRL on MTV,
yeah,
these are the bands we're representing. And could you come do like marketing and websites for these guys?
Why do you think you were able to do creative work full time and not have to juggle a normal 9-to-5 job?
I didn't have anything to lose coming out of college. I mean, I had built this like little thing, this little internet thing. I mean, I thought,
was money coming in?
Yeah, I mean, I charged people $50 an hour. That seemed like the thing I could do. Like everybody who freelances charges $50 an hour, so that's what I did too. And I made a couple websites. I did the stuff for that promotion company out of California, and there's this random like steel building manufacturer that called me from Delaware, and I was like his go-to guy. So, I'm making websites and little online promotions for these guys. I just didn't need a real job. I was like, hey, I could just do this.
Were you living at home?
I moved back maybe for a year, I think, coming out of college. But I mean, I was in an apartment for a lot of it.
But you had like you said, you don't have anything to lose, but you had everything to lose. Like it all could have gone away, or the money could have dried up.
Yeah, but like that, if that happened, then tomorrow I go get a job at the movie theater or whatever. I mean, that was my last real job before I started my own company, sweeping floors at a movie theater.
Yeah, I guess Drew Media turned into Grow Interactive.
Yep.
How'd you come up with that name?
Well, we were Drew Media. I told you that story, and we got like, I don't know, this is maybe 6 or 7 years into the history of the company. We'd gotten to this point where we were doing like regional and just on the cusp of like national kind of stuff. I mean, aside from like the band stuff, but we were trying to figure out what else we were going to do. And we saw like the best work in the world was happening in the advertising space. Like brands were paying companies like ours to make really cool things on the internet. And so we realized like, hey, if we're going after that, we look and sound not as professional or not as like, I mean, we didn't cast like a really compelling image as Drew Media. It sounded like a college kid out of his apartment, and that's what it was. Right. So we just, branding like everything else, we said let's be something else, or let's transform that, and came up with probably a few hundred names, and everything felt like it was taken or whatever, and we just said, hey, let's just be like the blank in our industry. Like there's no way we could pick 2 words, blue tree, and there's like a blue tree, there's like 7 blue trees. Look it up online right now. There's at least 7 blue tree companies. One of them sells sheds, and one of them's probably like making $1 billion transistors or something. So we just said, yeah, let's be like the blank in our industry, and grow was the name that we found that we liked the most.
So it was all website, and then you started to make the jump into advertising.
Yeah, it was all web, and then it was never like, hey, I want to be an advertiser. It was like, how do we make the coolest websites on the internet, and what are the websites we love, and what are the things that we're sharing for ourselves? And most of them were paid for by brands, and it was these like branded experiences. And then, as we started to get into it, we realized, there's more opportunity and more money and a lot more creative and technological sort of area to explore with those types of things than like just making someone's website.
And what year was around about?
I don't know. That would be like 2005. Yeah, 2005-ish.
And how did you guys break through in the beginning in terms of getting clients? Like once you sort of made that decision to kind of try to make it bigger.
I had this guy who worked for me. He came and offered to be an intern for me. He wanted to learn programming, and I said, I sadly don't have time to teach you how to program, but he was writing this blog that I really loved, and he sort of knew what was cool before it was cool. And I said, hey, could you just, kind of come like run marketing and business development for us? And so he was really like behind a lot of the shift and helped us navigate into the advertising world. We stumbled our way through it and realized like, okay, well, the work is generally managed by advertising agencies. Eventually we figured out that advertising agencies figure out the people at advertising agencies who choose who does the work are called producers. And so you just had to meet the producers and get on like a production director's radar to say, hey, give us a shot. And so he traveled around to like different conferences and stuff where he thought he would run into those people and friends of friends to get connected to people in agencies. And eventually one of them called us and said, we'll give you guys a shot.
And what did he hand them or show them in order to get them to be interested?
It was just our site. It was like, hey, we're doing this stuff. It's really high quality. It's creative. It's animated. It's just not, it's not for a brand you recognize. But if you give us a shot, we can do this kind of thing. And the opportunity that came to us, it was actually perfect for us because the agency was doing this campaign. It was called A Gift from Office Max. And their idea, the big agency idea was, let's make 20 holiday-themed websites, all, brought to you by Office Max with the promise of, like, if you like this, just think about shopping with us for the holidays. And so it was like, now I would understand it to be like a small bets play. So they were just going to make a whole bunch of small websites and hope one of them took off. 20 of them. They had little to lose in hiring a little agency out of Virginia, and they really loved us. And they, we first got hired, I think, for 2 or maybe 3 of them, and then they loved our work, and they hired us for a 4th one, and then somebody else like dropped the ball on their work, and they hired us for a 5th one, like the weekend before the thing was going to launch. And so we did 5 of those 20 websites, and that was sort of, and we became they absolutely loved us. The guy who hired us for that became our biggest fan. He told everyone about us. I still keep in touch with him. He still, loves the agency, and he helps get us connected to new things.
So one of the tough things about in getting started and doing the research for this is like we have mutual friends, and I would sort of ask them like, oh, like what does Grow do? Mm-hmm. And it's really hard for people to explain exactly what you guys do, like what the tangible, or maybe tangible is the wrong word, but like what is the product?
Yeah.
So if you had to explain what Grow does to a classroom of elementary school kids, of which you have one, how would you describe it?
I would say I'd probably oversimplify it and say we make websites. And that's sort of the explanation I give to my parents and people I don't have a lot of time with. But like the slightly fuzzier answer is like we make things on the internet that people like to play with, So sometimes that's a website, and sometimes that's, a social experience, and sometimes that's content that gets distributed through whichever channel. Fun stuff people play with on the internet.
Do you find that people ask that question a lot?
Not in our industry, because in marketing, people understand it really well.
Right.
The goal is, get people to understand and engage with your brand and find the products, find the right audience, and make sure they know about your wares. And but outside that world,
I was thinking more like outside.
Nobody knows, and I have a hard time communicating it clearly.
Is there any luck involved in the success?
A ton, yeah. I mean, it's all, hard work is number one. Like that Office Max story I told you, the real story behind that is like we were killing ourselves trying to get that done. I mean,
trying to get it launched.
Yeah, and just do the best job we possibly could for them. I mean, by the end of that project, and this is not like a hero story or anything, but I'm like I literally was keeling over from having worked too much, and that's not to say that's the right way to do it, but like we worked hard. I mean, we wanted to play with the best in the industry. We wanted to be one of the best, and there's no shortcut to that hard work. And then you catch breaks in places, and sometimes you don't. That Office Max story again, one of those 20 websites was Elf Yourself, and it wasn't the one that we made. And that's where Elf Yourself started. And the guys afterwards said, hey, had we known what Elf Yourself would become.
Is that like the Jib Jab thing?
Yeah. Well, before that it was, I mean, it's now Jib Jab. Jib Jab, I think, bought it manages it from Office Max, but it's like this $1 billion, marketing campaign that, again, the guys just said, hey, had we known Elf Yourself would be the one that would take off, we would have given it to you guys because we loved working with you so much. But like, them's the breaks.
And is that like when you said you were like killing yourself in terms of work, were you breaking it down also to like getting back and correspondence and email and like punctuation of the email and phone calls and how you delivered the voicemail message? Like, was it that the minutia, was that critical? Do you think?
For sure. Yeah. And by the way, like I didn't know anything about running a business. I didn't go to school for running a business. I didn't even aspire to be running a business. Like I liked making the stuff. Even when I say I made a website that said I could make these websites for you, that was more like an excuse to make more things. It's not like that was my big business idea.
Sure.
I hardly understood I was making a business, or certainly didn't understand what sort of, that I was making a company, let alone like sort of what that company would become. So I thought, as I started to do that, I'm like, oh, this is really like a service and a company. I just presumed, being exceptional in all aspects of that service. Yes, the product that we're creating, but like everything else about it, our timeliness and our communication and staying on budget, like that was a must. In fact, when we used to talk, early on in the agency days, we would say, like those things, on time, on budget, above expectations, like those are a given. And where we'll actually excel is like being a partner that clients love to work with, because then they'll call you back and they'll tell their friends about you. So I would later find out that most people in the industry are like rarely on time or on budget and hardly above expectations.
Isn't that everyone's like three pillars? Like, shouldn't
you would think? Apparently in this industry, you can do like maybe one and you're all right. But so yeah, the people who find us and say like, oh my gosh, you do all of those.
What are the challenges of being in the digital advertising business when we live in a time where technology provides consumers with the ability to go around ads, like ad blocking software and TiVo, and skipping the YouTube ad after 5 seconds?
Yeah. Well, making bad ads is sort of an invitation to those things. So if you're disrupting people, and this is something I think the industry and even we have learned, again, me never having aspired to, nor certainly even now, like I don't come into work and say like, I can't wait to make awesome advertising. Like I like making amazing things on the internet that I would want to play with, or that I would find engaging or educational and enjoyable. And I want to make things that other people like as well. And so brands are increasingly aware that like they can't interrupt your life. They have to give you value, and they have to, if they are going to sell you a product, there's the time and the place when that's relevant to you. So, finding the right places and the right types of experiences that make sense for that are a good thing. So if brands can make things that you naturally love and maybe are even the thing you're seeking out on the internet, let alone like sort of the thing that would disrupt what you were looking for on the internet, that's where they want to be. That's where branded content and things like that come from, because, brands can make the things that people will want on the internet.
Do you guys get to have a say in where it gets distributed, and sort of like what not platform, but like what show or what website, or I mean, do you guys get a hand in that?
Yeah, it depends on what it is. I mean, some things that come to us are like, hey, make this website, or hey, make this digital video that's, going to be put in this channel. Sometimes it's just like, we've got this product we really want people to understand X about, or like, here's our strategic goal and tell us how to accomplish that through digital media of any sort. And it's our challenge to point them in the right direction and then ultimately show them a great idea and a great creative and technical execution of that thing.
Are you guys ever on the hook for increased traffic to websites?
Yeah, we are. We're not like we're not an SEO company. People don't come to us and say, here's my website and help me tweak the things about it that will get more people to it. Ours is more around experience marketing and interactive experiences. It's more sort of make the thing with all of those best practices in mind, like keep in mind SEO, and then also, often we're doing the marketing side of that as well.
What's SEO?
Search engine optimization.
Okay.
Yeah,
Come on, Drew. No one knows that.
Some of you knew that.
And what about like number of like Cokes sold or BF Goodrich tires? Like, is that part of it too?
Yeah, so of course brands care a ton about metrics. Like, at the end of the day, all of this has to do with like, are we moving our company forward? Whatever our company mission is. Nonprofits, like, trying to move the world forward, a commercial product, trying to sell more of that commercial product. The difference is, and so, sometimes the metric of success is like, how many blanks did we sell or how many visitors did we get? But we work across the spectrum of like a sales funnel, everywhere from like the highest level, which would be awareness. Like, am I aware of this brand and its offering, to consideration? Like, would I even think about buying that product? All the way down the funnel to like, I'm going to actually buy that product, or I'm going to do that thing. I don't even mean to say like everything we do is about selling products, but a lot of the work that we do is in the awareness space, like catching people very early on to introduce them to a brand or a product where you're sort of coming from nowhere. And how do you create content or create an experience that people will want to seek out and want to engage with?
And reimagining things that are very like industry standard companies and things like that.
Sure,
also,
yeah.
Since you started, is what was considered functional and attractive still considered functional and attractive in terms of like website?
No, not at all.
No.
It changes all the time. I mean, when I first started, what everyone wanted was a flash intro. What's my like 30-second animated thing that sort of intros you to this company before you get to my website? Like, that was the thing for a while. And even as you follow like the progression of the internet and websites and digital marketing, like year over year, you see like flash in the pan sort of things. Like, for a while, everybody wanted a Facebook app. I don't even know if there's a such thing as a Facebook app anymore, but like, so those things change over time. And probably more importantly, like, the technologies that are available for the web have like evolved so substantially. Bandwidth has evolved so substantially. If you visit a website right now, like, go to apple.com, the imagery that's on there is massive. It's beautiful, high resolution retina graphics with movie files that are embedded in the page, and they change as you scroll down the page. I mean, again, internet speeds, browser capabilities, CPUs, and the like, all of that's evolved to the point that you can do so many different things. And I think the internet is ever evolving and growing up in terms of like, what's the best user experience? Everything used to be like a menu, a drop-down menu, I mean, think back to some of those days. I've made a ton of drop-down menus in my day.
Right.
It was hamburger menus. Hamburger menus are out now. Hamburger menus are the little like 3 lines at the top of an app that you hit.
Okay.
It looks like a little hamburger.
Oh, yeah.
So, you hit that and the thing slides out and gives you navigation.
Right.
So, user experience is evolving as much as like the technology itself.
How often do you have ideas that current technology won't support?
To be honest, not that often. Like, because I'm so rooted in like, what is technology currently capable of. I think that's the problem with a lot of ad agencies, by example, like they'll come up with an idea with absolutely no understanding of the technology. And so they'll sell in an idea that was never possible, or, at the end of the day won't come out the way it was described. So for better or for worse, I always have like one foot in what's actually possible. And so it's sort of like marrying the right brain and the left brain. And I've got a little bit of that, but more importantly, like the team here is it's a collection of talents. Like there are people of every different skill type and brain type, and we all get in a room together. And some people, sort of throw out wild ideas, and somebody who sort of understands the technology better will like bring it back down. Well, we can't do that, but we can do it this way. So yeah, it's sort of finding the fact that we have all of these people, like exceptionally talented people in this building, is what makes that work. And the fact that we're all under one roof together is a huge part of why we've been successful.
Have you ever had an idea and approached a company, or is it always the other way around?
Always the other way around. Yeah, I mean, it's not our business model. It's a harder thing to do. It's sort of the same thread of thinking, and this is something that's a lot of people in our industry chase, is like we have everyone in this building who's necessary to make a digital product. And some agencies try to evolve to become a digital product. Some are successful. I'll say a few are successful, and most of them kill themselves doing it, like kill the agency, because that's not what they were built to do. Or you end up building this thing that sort of competes with its own best interests. So we're aware, like we are a service company, and our service is making the most exceptional digital experiences that we can make, and we're best at making them for other people. If we tried to, create our own stuff, we'd probably implode doing it.
What's the percentage breakdown of when you work hand in hand with another advertising agency to when you do something directly for a client or company?
So it used to be 90% ad agency, 10% client. That's about 5-6 years ago. And we would have been what's called a digital production company. So the same way an ad agency would go hire a TV production company to go make a TV spot, they'd have their big idea, and they'd say, okay, we want to. Here's our big brand idea, and here's how that looks in a TV spot, and here's how that looks in a print ad, and here's how that looks in a billboard. Here's how that looks online. They would hire a company like us to do the digital production. So that's 5-6 years ago. Eventually, brands, several of those brands started calling us directly, and so really now it's like the opposite. I mean, at times it's 100% direct to client. Every now and then we'll do an ad agency production gig, like if the work's really cool, if they've come up with some great idea that we wouldn't get exposed to otherwise, or a brand that we wouldn't have gotten exposed to, then we'll do it.
I want to do like a little rapid fire.
Okay.
Thing.
Yeah. Let's do it.
I'm just going to ask you some questions, and like the first thing that comes to your mind, all right?
Okay.
What is your favorite color?
Green.
What was your favorite cereal when you were a kid?
Captain Crunch.
It tears up your mouth, though, doesn't it?
It does.
Your favorite meal, breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
Dinner.
What time did you go to bed last night?
10:30.
Is that normal?
No. It like, I don't know. It's with kids, I mean, sometimes you're like crashing at 8:30. Sometimes you're like at midnight. So yeah, no, 10:30.
What time did you wake up today?
7.
What 3 national ad campaigns would you change?
Oh, that's way too hard for like a rapid fire.
How about dun 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 dun? I'm loving it. Would you change that?
I wouldn't touch McDonald's. Yeah, I would love for somebody to change that. I'm not going to do it.
How are you at saying no?
Pretty good.
How often do people say no to you other than Amber or the kids?
Rarely.
What?
Yeah, not the people I employ, but the maybe people who like in the city who I want things to happen with. They say no a lot.
What are you bad at?
I take on too much stuff.
You fly a lot. Can you give me 2 flying tips?
So when you always after you take off, put your bag behind your legs, and then you get all the leg room in front of you, and like a little like kind of natural recliner. And if you're flying internationally, take sleep medication.
What would you rename Hampton Roads?
Norfolk, Virginia Beach.
With the slash?
Or a dash, one of the two.
What stresses you out?
Too much work.
But that's your whole thing.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to say, I want you to name the company that you think of when I say the following things.
Okay.
And maybe a brief explanation as to why you said that
Okay.
company. Shoes,
Nike. And they're like the leader, the most world-renowned brand.
furniture,
West Elm. I'm renovating a new house.
vehicles,
I guess Lexus. I have this Lexus that I have to sell right now because I never drive it.
toys,
Legos. My kid, we're playing with them every night.
clothing,
This is supposed to be first thing that comes to mind. I'm wearing Vans.
tools,
Computers? Those are the only tools I know how to use. When I'm renovating a house, I don't actually mean I'm swinging a hammer because I'm terrible at it.
You're not handy.
Yeah, not
so that's
in any
something
way.
we need to go back to the other
Okay,
question. Video games, company.
Counter-Strike is the last video game I got into, and that tells you how little time I have for some. For
I thought you were going to
stuff
say
like
EA Sports.
that. I should have.
Groceries.
Harris Teeter.
Okay. All right. There's one more round.
Okay.
All right. So this is word association. Like the first thing that comes to your mind.
Yeah.
Disney.
Pixar.
iPhone.
Apple.
Tablet.
Oh, Apple again. That sucks.
Revenue.
Good.
Virginia.
Home.
Google.
Client.
America Online.
What is that? What's America Online?
AOL.
Oh, is that what they call? Okay, yeah. Dead.
Bike lanes.
Awesome.
The gym.
Wish I had time.
Donald Trump.
Worst person alive.
YouTube.
Fun.
Coding.
I miss it.
Craft beer.
It's okay.
Netflix.
Stranger Things, I need to watch it. It's like, if I could just find some time.
Man, we just got into it. It's
Yeah,
good.
Yeah, I'm sure.
NPR.
Kathy Lewis.
Blue Apron.
Dinner. We're subscribers.
Padme.
Padme. Oh, is that the Star Wars girl? We're watching Star Wars at home with my son.
In what order?
We're only into one because he's only 6 years old, and we're like sticklers for movie age. So, yeah, we're looking forward to 7 and 8.
Did you like the new one?
I really love the new
Yeah.
one. Yeah,
Screen time.
limited.
Podcast.
You.
Nice.
Yeah.
Man, put that on a shirt. All right, that's it. Is it hard to turn off the designer's eye? Like, do you go around the day deconstructing things like that? Like design stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, my wife would definitely tell you I'm critical of all things design.
You told Distinction Magazine a few years back that you have 2 universal management philosophies. Do you remember what you told them?
I'm surprised I would say such a thing. I didn't know I had management philosophies. What were they?
I don't know. I was hoping you would remember. I didn't
Oh.
write them down. It was something like like work hard and, I don't know, be creative or something.
Oh, okay. I probably said, and maybe not, yeah, like universal philosophies is like how I approach life and business is like work hard and be nice to people. Conan O'Brien, when he signed off on his last night,
Man.
said, work hard and be nice to people and amazing things will happen to you. And I just completely believe that.
It's funny you bring up Conan O'Brien and that whole NBC late night thing, because I just went down like 3 days ago that rabbit hole again of like watching YouTube clips of like
Right.
Letterman's take and like his final thing.
Yeah.
And there's a really good documentary on his tour that he did, year-round tour,
Yeah.
like once he got kicked out.
Yeah.
Is it tougher now or when you just started out? Like the whole,
Now.
yeah, how
Yeah.
come?
It's just bigger. It's hairier, you know? It's like it's a lot of responsibility. They're different problems. I tell people who are starting their own businesses or kind of struggling with their businesses, like I hate to say this, it sounds a little pessimistic, but like you sort of solve one problem and like the next one comes up, or maybe 2 more. So like this myth of like tomorrow everything will be better. If I could just get past this like one more hurdle, I'm on easy street. That doesn't happen. Not unless you're like you're on the path to becoming irrelevant. So if you're coasting, you're on the path to becoming irrelevant. And the only way to stay a leader in a space is by continuing to work hard and continuing to presume you're not your best version of yourself or the best version of the company, and forever evolving it.
That's the way you would prefer it, probably.
Yeah, again, back to that, like I take on too many things and I'm never quite happy with anything.
Is how you structure your day changed over time?
Yeah. I mean, what's the time window? I mean, from when I started, I was designing very poorly and I was coding, and now I sit in meetings and write emails, and that sounds really boring. I do more interesting things than that, but running a company is so different than doing the thing. And I started this back to I loved making the stuff. And for a little while, a couple years into it, it started to become a company. It was about managing people and trying to win clients and all this stuff. And I was like, I really resented that. It was that's not what I got into this for. I liked making these things, and kind of had to get over that hurdle personally and professionally. Now I get that my job and what makes me happy is making an environment where all of these amazing people get to come in and make things together. And my job is to make sure that the wheels don't come off on that, and that we stay on a positive track.
Do you ever get precious about the fact that there's people who, obviously you employ them, but that can do it better than you?
No, I love that. I mean, that's the most amazing thing, that I'm surrounded by people better and smarter than me. And one of my favorite things in the world is when the team does something that I had absolutely no involvement in, and I'm just that's incredible. And I'm really glad I didn't need to be a part of pushing that forward. So it's really rewarding.
You mentioned email a little while ago, just a moment ago, and I have a question about email. Email takes up a lot of time at my job, and because people have different expectations in terms of response time and CCing and availability at night or on the weekends.
Yep.
Does Grow have an email policy or structures, or maybe even blackout times when emails can't be sent or read?
We don't. But I'm not the right person to ask for best practices in email. The company, though, I mean, email isn't, I don't think, maybe ask everyone else and not me, but it's probably less of an issue for everyone else here as it is for me and maybe people who deal more regularly with clients. So otherwise, I think people mostly stay focused on the work.
You know about how France made it illegal for people to...
Yeah.
What's up with that? Is that good?
No, I mean, I guess we don't have a policy around it, but I will say that, 5-6 years ago, we worked way hard. We worked an average of 60 hours a week. I certainly did. And we had plenty of 80-hour weeks. I mean, just because we were so focused on the work. I think a huge part of it, though, frankly, was we didn't understand how to run projects. We didn't understand how to estimate projects. We didn't understand how to know where we were in a project and do we need more resources to pull it off. We have grown up immensely in that regard. And so now it's way more balanced. I mean, people generally work 40 or 45 hours a week here. And that's also necessary because unlike New York and LA where people just use each other, the company uses the talent uses the company. Everybody comes in for a year, moves on for a paycheck or whatever. Here it's trying to grow a culture and grow, a connected group of people that we don't want to lose over time. So staying focused on that work-life balance thing is huge. All of us having kids and families keeps us really honest to that. And so yeah, I think we have a little bit of that that reputation. This is a crazy hard place to work, and it's not on its face. It's everybody who comes here does work hard, but it's not hard work or hours by any stretch are the measure of our success. I think most people turn off at 6:30.
What are the things that go through your mind at night when you're brushing your teeth before you go to bed?
1,000 things. Every email that's in my inbox is in my head right now. There's 102 of them as of when I left my desk. So
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say I'm sort of never off. And my wife would tell you that too. Like, she's like, what were you just thinking about? Because you weren't listening to what I just said.
I read an interview you did a few years back, and one of the questions they asked you was, who would be your dream dinner party guest list? Do you remember who you said? I have it.
Did I say Bill Gates?
No.
No.
You said two people that have equally difficult last names as you. Blake Mycoskie, the Tom's guy.
Yeah.
And then Tony
Shea.
From Zappos.
Zappos, yeah.
Because they were guys who reinvented business models.
Yeah, that was a way better answer. Well, Bill Gates reinvented business model too.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Are there products like Tom's and Zappos?
Zappos, yeah.
Are
you
there
don't know
products?
Zappos, really?
No, I do know.
Okay, yeah.
But are their products actually better, or are their unique business models the thing that sets them apart? Like, can a company that has a less quality product but has a better design win over customers?
Those are different questions.
Oh, are they?
But yeah, so the answer to your question of the last one is definitely yes. Branding and marketing means a ton. I mean, a lot of people make decisions based on those things.
Is that an okay thing to have happen?
Well, maybe not that subpar products win the day, but that equal products can be made better with branding and marketing. I think yes. And I think design is a good example of something like design can take a product from, yes, those are all shoes, but those are exceptionally designed shoes, and somebody who was very, very talented figured out that would be an amazing new way to look at a shoe. So, Zappos and Tom's are a little bit different in terms of what they did for their businesses, but Tom's I would point to as the opposite end of that. His goal, he started out to do social good, and he realized hey, if I'm just like everybody else asking you for money, please help me give these shoes kids, or help you advance this cause, then I'm always just asking. I don't necessarily have anything to give in return. And by the way, the pool of money that the collective world has to give to charity is only but so big, or it has a size on it, whatever that is. But if I can tie that to the things that people need, and I can make it so that my commercial business, the more successful my commercial business is, the more good I can do in this world, then those two things being tied together is a good thing. It's good that my business can keep doing better so that I can keep doing more good in this world, and
right.
vice versa. And in a lot of ways, while I don't have nearly the business model that Tom's does, and wouldn't claim to be doing a fraction of the good in this world that they are, the little bit of good that we do in the community is, I'm definitely aspiring for that same sort of thing. I want this. Part of the reason this company exists is definitely to do the work. I love the craft and the things that we're making, but I want to be able to do more good in this world, and especially in this community.
What makes Amazon so successful? Because Walmart.com, I imagine, almost basically has all this, what makes Amazon so much better? Because you would think Walmart.com has everything from camping gear to Clorox.
Sure. Some of it is design and user experience. Well, Amazon's notoriously been a bad design until maybe only recently. They cracked shipping. They figured out that we could do this prime shipping thing, and then all of a sudden, for better or for worse, the advantage that brick and mortar has is immediacy. And the internet used to be a world of choose between 5 to 7 business days, or 3 to 5 business days, or for an arm and a leg, 2 days. Yeah. And so now it's everything you want is 2 days away, eventually 1 day away, now an hour away.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hard to beat.
So it's a shipping thing.
Shipping was what cracked it for them, I think.
In 2010, you moved to your office building here at 427 Granby Street in Norfolk, Virginia. Yeah. What features do you have inside that has surprised you with its popularity?
You mean amongst our employees? Or
yeah.
Just what has surprised me? People really loved iced coffee. I don't know. We like everything in here is so intentional that I hate to say not a lot is surprising. Like that sounds.
No, you
I
can
don't want
say
that to
that.
sound
No, you
arrogant
can
in
say
any
that
way,
in-
but like we think about everything. And I tell we have this idea. I certainly have this idea of like how you do anything is how you do everything. So like every decision about how that TV was going to be mounted on the wall and which camera we were going to use and which conferencing system we were going to have is like very purposeful, and we researched everything and found the thing that we wanted. So we approach we approach everything about this building the same way we approach our work, which is thorough and trying to be as excellent as we possibly can.
Does it piss you off that you can't get the whiteboard clear?
Like you would not believe. That was just because nobody makes a giant whiteboard, so you have to make it yourself. So we had to get these like panels of this like whiteboard-esque material. It's not actually made to be whiteboard, but people use it as whiteboard. Yeah, there's a story to it, of course. I'm angry that you noticed that. So I'm now come here next week and that won't be.
Well, someone's getting fired for that shit.
Right.
No, as a teacher, like I have the same problem. Same problem, you know?
Yeah.
Have you gotten rid of anything like amenities inside because like it just didn't play?
Yeah, for sure. And I should be able to like list these things off.
Ping pong? Ping pong's still here?
Ping pong's not here, but
Ping pong's
only
gone.
Well, people didn't use it a lot. Maybe that was a little surprising. Like I thought everybody would be playing ping pong all day. I wish I could play ping pong all day. And we eventually had to lose our ping pong table. It's in storage now, but because we needed more desks, like we needed more people in the space.
Well, when you have 102 emails breathing down your neck, like like how can you play ping pong?
Right.
Is there talk about Grow branching out and doing original games or videos or movie titles or furniture or anything like that?
No, in the sense of like wildly different products. I mean, the product that we're making is ever evolving. We just did that mural installation in the Arts District, and that's an example of like a physical world installation project that we'd like to make for a client. We haven't done it for a client yet, but now we have a piece that we can show them. So our service will evolve, but I think it's always going to be creative technology, and then like what is the technology that best lets us connect to people and make unique and original things.
Drew, I really, really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come on the show.
Likewise. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Drew. This is Andrew Paul Cronin, and you've been listening to the Q&A with A.P.C. To hear archived episodes, go to soundcloud.com/QAAPC or subscribe to the show on iTunes. For exclusive content, including upcoming shows, behind-the-scenes pictures, and more, follow the show on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at QAAPC. The executive producer of the Q&A with A.P.C. is Ben Riley. The music was arranged by Soup.